Okay, hello. Before we jump into this, I realized that I forgot to kind of disclaim this, I guess. I don't know if this is a disclaimer or a request or a boundary or what it is, but I just need to put it out there. What I'm going to talk about in this video may not apply to you. It probably will not apply to you. I do recommend that everybody get their lab work done. Everybody look into what they are struggling with and don't discount their own symptoms, because that is how I got into this situation, but this probably doesn't apply to you. Second disclaimer, since this doesn't apply to you, don't make comments on my choices, please. That's a hard line that I'm drawing. I mean, if supportive comments, I will take all of them, but I do not want input. I don't want, comments on what my medical team is doing for me, regardless of your personal certifications or whatnot. I understand that I'm not the most educated person on this, but I'm very educated on this, and I did lots of research. I talked to lots of highly qualified professionals before I made the decisions that I made, and I am not asking for input. I'm simply putting it out there in case it helps someone. So thank you so much for respecting that boundary. I really appreciate you guys, and let's get into it. Hello friends, what's going on? So you guys have read the title of this video. You know what this video is. I will preface, hang on one sec. I am in my bedroom right now. I am using a ring light because there's no good lighting, but luckily I have this for check-in, so I'm going to use it for a YouTube video. And I also am likely going to be filming, and I'll probably mention it in that video too, a haul after this of all the stuff that I got for Lona, my little loaf. And I'm definitely going to be wearing this exact outfit because I don't really care that much. And yeah, it was on my to-do list to get these filmed this week. I don't want to do foundation tomorrow because I have my lash appointment. Anyway, I'm procrastinating. This video is already going to be very long, so buckle in, grab a snack. I want to be thorough in this because I don't want anyone to take this out of context, and I don't want anyone to make any decisions based upon this video just because it's what I'm doing and just because it's what what I went through or stuff like that. But I also do want to put it out there just in case you are in a similar situation to me, and you can find some comfort in the fact that, like, I've been there and I get it, and all of that. So without further ado, this is going to be my health update. And you as YouTube don't know that I even went through anything with my health. I've mentioned it on my Instagram in passing, and I have talked to people who are close to me about it in my day-to-day life, but on social media I honestly wasn't sure if I was even going to talk about it until I had a very good conversation with a friend of mine, and I spoke about it on my close friend's story, and I had not one but two people reach out to me and say that they've been struggling with something similar and that they had taken something positive from what I had said and it had pushed them in a positive direction. And that made it very apparent to me that it was important for me to speak about this, and it was important for me to share my experience. I have been going through some pretty bad hormonal issues. Honestly, I want to say since November of 2022, and I want to stress to you guys that my prep that I did not cause this, and that's something that I am going to reaffirm throughout this entirety of all of this, is my prep did not cause these issues. Brought them to the surface. And I say that because when I look back at my history with bodybuilding, when I look back at my history with my hormonal issues, this has been something that's been going on for a very long time. I got my cycle when I was 12 years old, and that first cycle lasted for 10 days, and I was going through, sorry, this is going to be a little bit of TMI, but I was going through an ultra pad within 2 hours. At 12 years old. Looking back at everything that I was struggling with when I first got to college, my freshman and sophomore year, that would be all of that. But backtracking to high school, I had an eating disorder from ages 14 to 17, pivotal developmental years, that I just lost because I was under eating and over exercising. And so I did not have a cycle during those years. Again, very developmental years. So I did not have a cycle during those years. And every time that I look back at labs from that time when I got them tested, my progesterone was completely bottomed out and my estrogen was pretty on the low side. I did not get other labs pulled because doctors often will not pull those for you, and I did not know any better at the time, obviously. I started with a coach and we managed to get my cycle back after about a year of trying, and prior to that I had been trying very hard as well. My body fat was higher than I would like it to be. It was higher than my growth curve showed it should have been, and it was higher than my genetics would lend to. All of my family is very, very small. That was fine with me because I got my health back on track, and I was like, oh, I'll just, I'll cut in the future and I will maintain at a lower body composition. Well, I maintained my cycle for a good while, a good fucking while, before deciding to go into a cut. It was a consistent cycle. We thought that I had everything in alignment, and I ended up losing my cycle about 2 months into that cut when my carbs were at like 250. My calories were still above 200. There was no reason for me to have lost a cycle at that point. Other than we had gone into quarantine because that was right around the time that COVID happened. And so I blamed it on that. I thought that was the thing that had happened. During that cut, I did not get overly lean. I ended that cut at like 120, which weight doesn't mean nothing, but for me personally, I have felt my best when I am weighing around probably like anywhere from 117 to 120 is where I feel really, really good in my body. And so I was like, great, I'll maintain this. Well, we reversed back up and my cycle was not coming back, and so I ended up intentionally gaining more weight again to get my cycle back. And it was just kind of a vicious cycle, and I was like, well, it's okay, like I'm gonna be prepping here and like, whatever. I'll figure it out. Eventually my body will get back to a normal state. And I again maintained a normal cycle for a very, very long time before starting prep. And then I started prep. And during prep, I lost my cycle again, like 2 months in. I had a show date on the line, and it was one of those things where I did not, think that it was going to be a problem. And my coach, I don't think thought it was going to be a problem either, but he did not know my history, and I didn't think of my history at the time. I also was the one who did not get labs pulled before I went into prep. That was on me. That was something I should have done. And that's the other thing that I really do want to stress is my coach is fucking phenomenal. And if anyone could have gotten this back for me and gotten my hormones in alignment, it would have been him. But it was just, I think I was a little bit too far gone, if that makes sense. So finish up prep, whatever. My season went amazing. Prep is extreme. And what I'm going to say here, I don't want to be interpreted wrong. You are going to have to push during prep. It should not be so extreme that you are putting your health at risk. Mine was not. Mine was not extreme by any means. Some like 1 or 2 weeks where I was pushing very hard. But at the end of it all, when you look back across everything, I did not do anything extreme. I didn't do anything that would have warranted this level of hormone issues. So again, we were not concerned when I finished prep. I was very lean, but that was just that. And I am going to be honest on here, and this is something that I haven't really talked about, but the other player in this that I don't think helped is when I was 3 weeks out from my first show, my dad got diagnosed with colon cancer. And so that cortisol spike definitely didn't help, along with being 3 weeks out from my show. But we got through it. We're okay. He's doing well. That's a whole other thing, but he's doing well. We're all right. So anyway, I finished my show, finished my season. I go into a reverse. And the first 2 to 3 months post-show are genuinely the happiest I have ever been in my entire life. I know people talk a lot about post-show blues and getting sad after their show that it's over. And yes, I was very sad that it was over, but I was so optimistic about everything that was happening within off season. My food was very high. My food got very high. My body weight didn't really come up that much. And it wasn't like we were increasing like 5 carbs at a time. Like we got my food up and my body comp stayed, and I was thriving. I honestly was thriving. I felt like I could go out to social functions again with my friends and enjoy. Like, I was having people over, I was traveling and going to San Diego, like I had like fun time with my family, like all of this cool stuff was happening, and I also felt very, very good in my body. I wasn't getting my cycle, and at some point in around November, my skin started breaking out really bad. My hair was not like, it wasn't like falling out in clumps, but it was definitely thinning, and you can see it's gotten a lot better now. We've done some hair care treatments. But my hair is normally like this. Like, it's normally, I mean, even thicker than this. This is pretty thin for me. But my hair was thinning, and ultimately we weren't really sure why my cycle hadn't come back, because it wasn't like I was overly lean. My food was at like 2,600 calories, which is a fuck ton of food. My training performance was good, and all of a sudden I was experiencing these hormonal issues, and my digestion was kind of unpredictable, and just all of these different things. And we thought, okay, maybe it's stress, like, okay, maybe it's finals, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And the theme that I want you guys to get here is, do not ignore what your body is telling you just because it could be stress, because that's what I attributed it to, and I kept saying that, and I kept making that the reason that things were going wrong. And ultimately, obviously, that was not the reason that things were going wrong. Dominican Republic, I got back, I got labs run again. We looked at the labs, progesterone flatlined. Progesterone was fucking flatlined. Estrogen also really low, but my testosterone was in a good range, so that was good. We're like, okay, we can fix this, it's fine. Started new supplementation protocols on that end. Please work with someone for your supplementation. Really fuck yourself up if you do go and do that just because you have a hunch. Like, no, I got a full comprehensive blood panel run. I paid for that. I paid for all the supplements. I have a coach who told me what to take, all of that. But I will say that we tried everything that you possibly could to get my progesterone levels to come back up, which would have led to my estrogen re-regulating as well. And nothing was happening. So I ended up over spring break taking the full week off training. My mental health took a fucking nosedive. I've always struggled with anxiety, but this is the first time in my life that I've ever experienced depression. And when I tell you it got bad, it got very bad. It's not something that I would wish upon anyone, and it's not something that I think that I could have gone through for much longer, if I'm being completely honest. And I'm being very vulnerable with you guys so that I really express to you the point that I got to. Throughout all of this, like, I felt so isolated. I felt more isolated than I've ever felt in my entire life. My confidence was at rock bottom. It's still not great, if I'm being honest. And ultimately, I have not been enjoying life for the first half of this year. That's point blank period. I just haven't been. There were weeks where my performance in school dropped, and that's very difficult for me. I'm not gonna cry during this video, because I am someone who takes pride in being smart. I take pride in my schoolwork. I take pride in the effort that I put in. I was originally going to help out with more undergrad research, and I just couldn't find it in me to be able to do that, because I was so taken out emotionally and honestly physically as well, because of all of it. My sleep started to decline. It wasn't good, and nothing was helping. So the second time that I got labs run after taking a full week off at spring break, everything was still pretty bad, and not much had improved despite some pretty heavy supplementation, again, natural, to bring that up. With that, my free testosterone had also risen significantly. And I, again, want to point out that I have never used any PEDs. I've never been on any performance enhancing drugs, like, ever. And I'm not against that. If that's your choice, that's your choice. But for me, that's not what had caused anything. That's not what it, you know, it was just natural. And I will say that just in my family, like, we do have a history of people on my mom's side do have higher testosterone. That's just how they are. My mom looks at a weight and she gets jacked. So there's that. But also I did find out through all of this and through troubleshooting that my dad's side of the family also has a history of hormonal issues, and I'm not going to say like who and what hormonal issues they have, but there are members of my family who do have chronic thyroid issues that they're on medication for, who do have estrogen issues that they're on medication for. Kind of started learning all of this, and throughout this process I got to a point where I was done. After getting those labs back, again, we made some adjustments to my supplementation protocol, but honestly my coach this whole time was so great. He did everything. He consulted everyone. He sent my labs to everyone, and nobody had anything else that we could have done. And about a week into that new supplementation protocol, this is the first time that I'm going to be talking about this, I woke up at 2 a.m. My stomach hurt so fucking bad. I was sweating through my sheets. Basically just started crying and like crying so hard that I was convulsing in my bed. I was done. At that point, I had some pretty awful thoughts that night, and after eventually making it back to sleep, I woke up the next morning and I did some research because I was like, I'm done. I'm over it. Like, I'm so over it. And I ended up coming across some articles on bioidentical hormone replacement. And then I did some research on the bodybuilding side of that, and reached out to a company that does it specifically for bodybuilders. And I don't want to speak on any specifics here. Please DM me if you're curious. I'm happy to talk with you about stuff. But I don't want to be irresponsible with the information that I'm providing. Brought it up to my coach, and he was the most supportive of me going that route. And again, I could have done this naturally, but it would have been 6 to 9 more months of me having nights like that where I woke up and I was genuinely scared of myself. And I'm someone who's very aware of my own mental health. I go to therapy. I journal daily. I meditate daily. Like, I do all the things. I was in a place where I didn't recognize myself, and I didn't recognize my own thoughts, and no one seemed to get it. And it's very difficult to understand unless you have been through it. So I made that decision for myself. And when I got the initial lab work done again, this is the like fourth or fifth time that I've gotten lab work done in the past however long it's been, I don't know. But anyway, I got that done. My levels were still pretty much tanked, and yet again, not great. And so they got the full comprehensive lab done, and my thyroid also, which explains a lot, was in normal range, but it wasn't in optimal range. Did analysis of all my lab work. Like I said, my progesterone was low, my estrogen is pretty low, but that's stemming from the fact that my progesterone is low, and my thyroid hormone was also low. So those things are, the progesterone and the thyroid are what we are trying to bring up with the medication that I'm going on. So I'm going on medication for this. I will keep you guys posted on how I'm feeling, how I'm doing. But I do want to say that I am feeling better. I just went to Miami, as you guys will see in the last vlog, with my team, and we had a really, really good time there. I'm going to San Diego in a couple weeks. I'm bringing home my dog in a couple weeks, so I'm just trying to look forward to things right now. And I do have my medications, and I have just started those, so I don't notice anything yet, but I will keep you guys posted on that. But just the positive outlook has made me feel better, and I've also done some work at adjusting things. It's sunnier outside. I've been going on a lot more walks. I've been doing a lot more things, and that's been helping mental health wise, but I can still kind of tell that I'm not myself, if that makes sense. And that's how it's been. I am going to try to edit this into something that makes sense, but also keep it very raw and real, because I want you guys to understand what exactly has been happening with me. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to comment, feel free to DM me. I'm an open book at this point, because this is something that I didn't mention, but the reason that I was able to make the decision to go on medication and that I do have hope for this is because I saw someone on social media talking about it. And so that is why I have decided to talk about it. I really do appreciate whoever watched this video. I know it's a bunch of rambles. I'm not good at getting emotional on camera. I'm not good at being on camera because it's been a hot second. I did want to update you guys, and I don't feel like I could have done that through an Instagram story. I don't feel like I could have done that through a caption, through text, and there will probably be more of those. But I feel like you guys needed to see me. You needed to see what has been happening. And again, I'm not ready to share photos. I did document you know, what was happening. Skin, I'm wearing makeup right now so you can't see it. It's not as bad this week actually. I think because I was in Florida, so the sun helped dry some of that out. It's just not time yet. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I apologize if this video was a little bit down. I promise I'm fine. I'm okay now. I swear to you. I would not be making this video if I wasn't. I was waiting until then. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I'm gonna upload this, and then I'm also gonna upload the puppy haul because that's not gonna take much work from me. So hopefully you guys will have something cheery to watch after this. Love you guys.